What if God made a promise that not only shaped all of history, but is still unfolding today? I'm talking about the covenant, a real binding promise of guidance, continuity, and victory. Abdu'l-Bahá, designated to be the center of the covenant by his father Baha'u'llah, called it the pulsating power in the arteries of the body of the world. The covenant is what gives life, unity, and direction to the soul and to the world itself. So let's take a deeper look. The covenant is God's guarantee of his continued presence and guidance. To turn toward it is to trust in a living cord that stretches from the beginning of history to the present. It has two purposes. One, to draw individual souls toward his spiritual kingdom. Two, to build a civilization here on earth that reflects that spiritual kingdom, culminating in the kingdom of God on earth. Just as the harvest reveals the hidden mysteries of the seed, the revelation of God's kingdom in our time unveils the mysteries of a seed sown thousands of years ago. And the kernel of that seed is the covenant. Abdu'l-Bahá wrote, "Truly, God does whatever he wills. Nothing can cancel his covenant." Covenant is not conditional. It doesn't rise or fall with any one person, group, or generation. God will fulfill it, with us or without us. Yes, we have free will. We can turn away, we can even violate, but when that happens, the covenant doesn't end. God simply raises up new souls to carry it forward. His plan is never undone. The covenant has two parts. The greater covenant is God's promise that he will never leave humanity without the guidance of his manifestations. The manifestations of God are like teachers in the grades of school. They teach according to the capacity of their students, building upon the lessons that came before. While the classes get more complex and refined, the goal remains: the spiritual education of the world. The lesser covenant refers to the structure and authoritative guidance that each manifestation leaves to carry the faith forward after their departure. Moses left his people the law, the priesthood, and instructions for the temple. Jesus appointed the apostles. Muhammad established the line of imams. But these institutions relied on human faithfulness, and time and again, that faith wavered. History shows a recurring pattern. The religious leadership that forms around the lesser covenant often drifts into corruption. As we'll see, even being named in the covenant by the pen of the manifestation himself is no safeguard against error. The authority granted by their lesser covenant seems to become a temptation for those who want to hijack the cause of God for their own purposes. Abdu'l-Bahá wrote, "The covenant of God in this day of manifestation is a lifeboat, an ark of salvation. All true followers of the blessed perfection are sheltered and protected in this ark. Whoever leaves it, trusting in his will and strength, will drown and be destroyed." This isn't just poetic imagery, it's a stark spiritual warning. The unadulterated covenant isn't optional. It's the only safe path through the storms of this age. Not bureaucracy, not consensus. The covenant is divine direction and divine protection. Unity is one of the divine principles, but unity that abandons the provisions of the covenant isn't God's unity. It's just agreement among some people. Today, God's unity flows from fidelity to the line of succession revealed by Baha'u'llah, chartered by his son Abdu'l-Bahá, and inaugurated by the first guardian of the cause, Shoghi Effendi. In 1957, after decades of tireless service, Shoghi Effendi passed from this world. His departure marked a moment of great testing, just as in every previous dispensation, when the question of succession revealed the true condition of people's hearts. Before his passing, Shoghi Effendi had established the International Baha'i Council, intended as the embryonic form of the house of the Lord prophesied by Isaiah, and he placed the next guardian at its head. This body was meant to carry forward the administrative center of the faith in harmony with the covenant. But following his passing, the hands of the cause, who had been appointed to protect and propagate the will of the guardian, not to lead the faith, stepped into a role they were never meant to occupy. Rather than unfolding the framework Shoghi Effendi had laid down, they set it aside and proceeded with a plan of their own. And yet this too follows an ancient pattern. After every manifestation, the test of succession arises, and with it, a separation between those who uphold the covenant and those who do not. But the cause of God is never dependent on the powerful or the majority or the charismatic. It continues, not through force, popularity, or charm, but through those faithful souls who cling to the truth and keep the flame of the covenant burning. In time, those who remained faithful to the original provisions of the covenant were labeled as dissenters, not for denying the faith, but for insisting on its integrity. Yet this is not a tragedy, it's part of the pattern. Time and again, throughout history, the stewards of the cause have faltered. But God has always responded, not by abandoning his plan, but by raising up new, faithful souls to carry it forward. The Baha'i Covenant is still alive. Even if upheld by a single soul, the promise stands. Coming next, how the covenant passed from Abraham to Baha'u'llah, and how the promises of a kingship and a multitude of nations come together in the world order of Baha'u'llah. For more information, visit schooloftheland.com, where history's oldest promise meets humanity's future.